There's an illness that impacts the body, mood, and thoughts of a large number of military members and civilians: depression. For those of us who have never experienced depression, it can be difficult to understand because it doesn't have a lot of visual manifestations. It's not something that people can just snap out of. Everyone has had days where they're just not feeling like their normal self, but those days are generally short-lived, and that's not what depression is.
With depression, you will experience some of these symptoms, and they may not just go for a few days. They can go on for weeks, months, or even years if left untreated. So we talked earlier a little bit about how it affects your sleep, your interest levels, how people may feel guilty, feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness, and how people just feel sapped.
Nearly 3 months ago, we were reminded that a person that may seem perfectly happy and successful on the outside may be suffering internally. We learned that it might not be as simple as your outlook on life that causes depression.
It can be something physical, a medical condition where there is a chemical imbalance, and then you start bringing in some of the other stressors, especially military stressors.
Even today, there are those that feel depression is something people bring on themselves, and that if they would just get over it and be happy, they would be fine.
We can sometimes urge people to pull yourself by your bootstraps and get on, and it's going to be okay. But until we're truly in that person's shoes, we can probably have a better understanding of the emotional and psychological pain this person is experiencing. So just telling someone to tough it out is really unfair.
It's vital to seek professional help when dealing with depression, but you may be worried that if you do, it could affect your career.
Research shows that only 3% of individuals who seek mental health care experience adverse military impact. Usually where we notice the problem is when people do not seek help early and the condition begins to worsen.
If you still don't feel comfortable, remember that the chaplains have 100% confidentiality. That means you can tell them anything, and they're not obligated to report it to anyone.
We are the greatest Air Force in history, and our people are dedicated, faithful, and they are resilient. But we're still human beings. And sometimes I would just say that we need to remember, in the midst of all that we're doing, all the wonderful, all the great things that we're doing for our nation and for our partners and allies, that we still have to remember our humanity. And in that, we give ourselves permission to ask for help.
If you feel you're experiencing depression, seek help through the mental health clinic, the chapel, the military and family life consultant, the military OneSource crisis line, or your primary care manager. Senior Airman Scott Taylor, Incirlik Air Base, Turkey.